Oh, are we?
Yeah, we're live. We're live.
Excellent. Well, welcome to the final round of the BUSR F1 Championship. Today we're at Abu Dhabi, where the championship is up for grabs. Where Matty Mumu comes in as the favourite to win the championship this season. But as we all know, this circuit is known for throwing many curveballs in real life and in the history of BUSR F1. Obviously, the 2021 Abu Dhabi, and last year where we saw Joe miss out on the championship and it getting clinched by none other than oh god, who was it now?
E
I can't remember now
doing,
who it was last year.
doing it off the cuff.
Yeah. um, yes, well, this is a very interesting circuit indeed, built on a bit of reclaimed land in the middle of Abu Dhabi, 6.5 kilometers long. Yas Marina circuit has 16 corners, 8 to the left, 8 to the right, and 2 DRS zones on the back straight. Top speed of about 340 kilometers per hour, but I'm not sure if we'll be reaching that today. It is a 305-meter sprint straight from pole position to turn one. Will our championship protagonist make it down to the first corner of the race and survive the carnage that can happen through those corners? With our top five standings being within a chance of taking the title today, but some have to be a little bit luckier than others. We've got Matty Mumu at 580 points, Cameron Sell at 559, Desan at 524, Joe at 523, Geek at 482. Obviously, Geek just about clinching on there, but obviously he will have to make up massive gains and is probably a little bit out, but mathematically he's still in it. He's there.
Yeah, he's close. He's close.
We obviously it looks like Matty Mumu is able to clinch the championship here, where he only just has to really outscore Cameron Sorr realistically. Desan and Joe in recent races have been just a little bit behind Matty, maybe sometimes fighting those two, but Matty and Cameron have been in a league of their own this season, especially last week with Cameron at the Red Bull Ring, where he took a really, really dominant victory over Matty and the rest of the field there, pitting very early onto medium tyres and bringing them to the end of the race. Some very, very good performances from all five of those drivers, however. Some obviously with some highlights being Cameron's win in Mexico and Austria.
Yeah.
We also had some great performances from Matty as well in Kota as well. So yeah, this is a really good season so far, and hopefully it will keep getting better towards the end of this race.
Yeah, it's like you say, it is a very close championship. That we have a lovely little spreadsheet here created by one of the F1 organizers, I believe. I may be wrong. You could correct me. And as you say, it's been chop and change, drivers switching wins, trading seconds. There's been a few unlucky races in between. Straight off the top of my head, first one I can think of, Cameron experiencing the powers that be and getting a drive-through penalty during a safety car for speeding. That should have been a top three finish. He would have been a lot closer to Matty's points at this point. But, it's a roll of the dice quite frequently in Formula One, especially when the safety cars are going to come out and whether you're going to keep your front wing through turn one as well. So hopefully these drivers know what they're going to be doing, they know what they're fighting for, and they're not going to try and make too many aggressive moves that will put them out of the championship. So it's going to be a very exciting race. Looking forward to it. We are going to quali in about a minute or two's time. Abu Dhabi. This is a track that has seen a layout change recently. We have the new, and I'll be perfectly honest, I don't know the corner numbers, but I assume it's corner 4?
5 and 9 have been reprofiled, yeah.
Do you think that's improved the circuit as a whole?
Oh, without a doubt, massively. One of the main comments about it was that turn 5, which was, the 456 complex, had almost no real good overtakes or prepared any good opportunities after the DRS zone into turn 6 into that chicane, where drivers were just tiptoeing around that chicane because there was almost no grip through there because it is the circuit was, it's a very hot circuit, so you're not going to get much grip through it. And through that chicane, everyone was kind of just filing in behind. There weren't many moves into it. I mean, Max Verstappen won the championship at that corner 2 years ago, where he took a very deep lunge around the outside of Lewis Hamilton on much newer soft tyres. Obviously, it was very controversial at the time, but it was a very, very much needed change to the circuit.
It does make the racing more fun. We are now heading to qualifying. A bunch of cars out on track right now. SJYG starting his lap. I believe he's the first driver to do so, coming through the turn 2 and 3. I love this part of the circuit here, the flat out right, left, right there. Coming into the new turn 5, no chicane here anymore as we get a portion. Some drivers go slowly in the last sector. This is a long straight, the first of our DRS opportunities as we come up to the 6-7 complex, braking at the 150 board very hard. Now this is ever so slightly off camber, so when he gets back on the throttle, very good there. No sliding as he comes into the second of the DRS straight. Coming down to turn 9, this is where we were talking about before, the long, very wide, ever slightly banked turn here. Expect to see a lot of overtakes here, some more interesting than others. Into turn 11, into turn 12 as we come under the lovely hotel here. Turn 13 off camber once again, get very close to the wall on the outside. 2 more corners to go. 15, which is flat for these cars, and then 60. Yes, I can count. Comes to the line, a 124 for SJ the YG. That is I was about to say that is the current fastest time, but GMT has gone all the way to a 122.
That time from GMT UFC is very good right off the board, actually. I was expecting around about the 21 mark, really. But if he's putting in a 22.7 at the start of Q1, maybe we're looking at possibly breaking into the 20s here. And as we see now with Matty Mumu coming through, just to finish his flying lap through sector 3. It's a very technical part of this track. He's left, right, very slow, and you're just barely dabbling on the throttle at some points of this, and you're very close to the walls. You've got the Tech Pro barriers right there, almost in your face, like almost Monaco style. Now he comes through. And let's see where he goes. He goes right to the top of the board with 22 dead. Very good timing from Matty Mumu straight off the board there. Looking to improve that time massively straight out. And the Desan as well coming through. And he's at 22. Very, very close there. Just separated by two 100ths of a second straight off the board. More people coming through for a quick lap now, and we've got Joe, one of our other championship protagonists, got a little bit more work ahead of him this race. Let's see where he can put himself here though, as he comes now through to into turn 9. Very nice banked corner indeed, where you can put the throttle on very early. Now just finishing out in that and just getting his way through some traffic that's going a little bit slower here as well.
Yeah, this is you did allude to it before. It is a very technical section in sector 3, which now that they've removed the chicanes at where turn 9 currently is and where turn 5 currently is, it's a kind of refreshing point on the track where you go from flat out, as Joe tries flat out, and gets a 2.4. So he's still got a bit of work to do. But yeah, as I was saying, it's a very technical sector, which is juxtaposed by the rest of the track, the very fast, very flat out sections. So these drivers are going to have to consider which part of the track they really want to tune their setup toward. Are they defending through sector 3, or do they want to be the fastest car in the world down the straight, as Ice goes into 8th.
Blue not looking too good there, invalidating his lap time, coming out through turn 11. Just getting a little bit too squirrely there. He's going to back off and maybe thinking about putting for a fresh set of tyres and going again. Just maybe tweak.
I think he invalidated.
Oh, was he on a push that? I thought he was on a push that. Oh no, yeah, the track hasn't gone red, but he's gone 125, which is nowhere really. He's just looking at maybe recharging that battery and going again. It
was a very large slide through that turn, and I'm not sure if it's the internet connection, but it did look like he'd slid sideways toward the outside there and just completely ruined his lap.
Yeah, it looks like maybe he just got a little bit, maybe he found that he maybe made a mistake and just his delta was a little bit too off and just decided to abort the lap, run about that area. Just not really thinking about it really. Just getting past some traffic again. That would be, what was that, Joe? Yeah, just coming now round through with Krabby Patty. And then he goes 8th fastest with a 23.3. Just 1/100th off of CT there, and the Aston Martin. Everyone now into the pits, just waiting for a little bit more clean air and just getting that time a bit further down now as well. We've got a little bit of a train coming 3 and 4 as well as Jareki in the Alfa Romeo going for a push lap, his first push lap. He's been rather consistent, to be honest, around about the best, coming in the best of the rest for throughout the majority of this season. Obviously not. Oh, he's into the barrier straight out. That is not what you want through there. Probably just a little bit too much throttle, and the rear stepping out there and just trying to meander his way.
That was very unfortunate. He did have the fastest Sector 2 time there. He did go purple, and very lucky to not damage the car to the point that he cannot continue. So he's going to be thanking his lucky stars there that he can get another few laps out in this qualifying session.
That would be very unfortunate if he did go out straight away. And now we have Cameron Searle on a flying lap, one of our championship protagonists for this final race of the season. Let's see what you can do here, because it looks like he's on with a decent shot of being on pole position, 6th gear through that corner, and down the hill. One of the only parts on this track that have any elevation changes. It's a very flat circuit indeed. They just pile some dirt onto that and call that a hill. I wouldn't really count it as much. The DRS wide open through into the first of the DRS straights on this circuit, slamming really hard on those brakes at 150 meters, taking 100 meters for that matter, coming out through that very rather quick chicane, I'd say, but still a bit technical there. Not really feeling much grip from that. But and again into turn 9, very nice banked corner. You just hug that inside, putting a little bit more power onto it than you'd really think. But a little bit like Zandvoort, really, that corner. Sector 3, he's caught that pretty well. No incidents like Jareki there. No stepping out the back end. We're looking rather square. It's not trying to jinx ourselves now here as he comes through to the last corner, and let's see where he goes on the leaderboard. And that is a 122, just behind Hassan there, and more importantly, he's about 8 100ths of a second off of Mati Mumu. Maybe he can make that time up a little bit later on, but he's got to find some pace somewhere, and otherwise he's gonna be a little bit too far behind that.
It is a surprising how, as Alpha seems to have invalidated their lap, the top 4 here, you couldn't have written the script any better. The top 4 are the 4 championship contending drivers. As we discussed before, Matty and Cameron need to be separated by approximately 4 or 5 positions, with Cameron in front. There's some weird goings on through the last turn there as Geek comes up to the line. And
to a racing
16th. Yeah, so it's going to be I think, every driver for themselves at the front. They've very frequently throughout this season have been very happy to just drive off as a pack and then sort it out at the end of the race. Try and build a gap to the cars behind so that when they do start battling, they're not worried about positions 5, 6, 7, whatever have you behind. But very weird goings on. Blue flags there. I'm not sure who that is. It's CT on mids, one of the two there. BUSR getting past fairly cleanly though.
Mids is in the pits right now. That's CT right there.
CT there. There's a few names here that I've not seen commentating this season. So CT, mids.
Oh no, I've seen mids a few times. Nat the Cat, I've not seen. Some of you guys are quite new, to be honest, and it's always great to see. There are quite a few more people coming in. So obviously it's completely. Oh, and that is Nat the Cat. As I say that, looking the other way. Not where you really want to be facing on this circuit, really, because that is the wrong way. I think those tyres will be a little bit overheated now for Nat the Cat's liking. Probably going to be running into the pits for the last 5 minutes of this qualifying session to put on a fresh set of boots and think about another run. And now we've got Tom Hug into the pits. Now we've got the Sun, Joe, Alpha, GMT UFC, Tomahawk, CT all into the pits right now, just waiting for maybe a bit more clean air. Bluefire, hello.
Jaraki just leapfrogged Joe there.
Whoa.
Getting within 2/10 of the lead lap there. So we're seeing another contender put his hat in the ring to try and maybe make up some positions on the standings board. There we go. I believe, unfortunately, Jaraki is not in the title fight at the minute. I think mathematically he's just outside, but hey, a win's a win, and I think he'll love to finish off his season.
He's still within the fight for, he's very far off, but he's still within the fight for mathematically he's in the fight for P2, but realistically he's looking at a P5, maybe even a P4 finish from this race. But Jaraki's just in there just to throw some
spanners in the works.
Yeah, just throw some spanners in the works for the rest of the guys, really. Joe's trying to maybe looking at keeping his head clean, or maybe even taking a lunge into turn one, and Jaraki is just there saying, no, you're not going to be doing that with me side by side with you, so take chances elsewhere, boy. As everyone else is now into the pits for the final couple of minutes of qualifying, this is where it's going to get a little bit more hectic as everyone prepares for their final lap in Sector 3. Everyone's going to be piling up around there, and maybe some people behind on push laps might not be able to get through. So we might even see a couple of people impeding, as we did earlier with Geek being impeded by, I think that was actually Alex there, that impeded Geek, which led into a rather unfortunate lap time, because we know his pace through this season, and that is not a very representative time indeed. Who have we got now? AD coming through on a hot lap, but rather out of time with everyone. Maybe just looking at some clean air, trying not to risk any yellow flags being thrown out, or people just going the wrong way.
Around.
Yeah.
The unfortunate scenario usually is if you're out around this time is when you start coming across traffic on your push lap, but it seems that our drivers here who are in the pit lane are really pushing it all the way to the end of Q1. So we should see them starting to leave the pit lane, I'd say, around the 2.5 minute mark, 2 minute mark, just to be safe. There is a minimum speed for all of our drivers, so you will have seen in Formula 1 there's a minimum lap time.
Oh, that's a purple sector from 80 there, actually.
Ooh. That Sector 2 seems to be favouring some drivers over others, and I have a feeling that the downforce levels are coming into play here. Do you see AD come through? Keeping it out the wall, very clean. 2 more corners to go, flat out through 15. And there he is through 16. And going up to P8. So perhaps that Sector 2 is slower for our front-running drivers.
Maybe they're sacrificing Sector 2 times for a quicker Sector 3 there, which wouldn't be unheard of, considering that in qualifying you have the DRS open, so the rear wing downforce doesn't make too much of a difference, all things considered. So you may as well chuck on a little bit more downforce and go for something a little bit more grippier through Sector 3. Now we're seeing a couple of people pour out to the. I say a couple of people. Everyone's out in the pits. We're seeing a couple of people pour out to the. I say a couple of people. Everyone's out in the pits. We're seeing a couple of people pour out to the. I say a couple of people. Everyone's out in the pits. We're seeing a couple of people pour out to the. I say a couple of people. Everyone's out in the pits. We're seeing a couple of people pour out to the. I say a couple of people. Everyone's out in the pits. We're seeing a couple of people pour out to the. I say a couple of people. Everyone's out in the pits. We're seeing a couple of people pour out to the. I say a couple of people. Everyone's out in the pits. We're seeing a couple of people pour out to the. I say a couple of people. Everyone's out in the pits. We're seeing a couple of people pour out to the. I say a couple of people. Everyone's out in the pits. We're seeing a couple of people pour out to the. I say a couple of people. Everyone's out in the pits. We're seeing a couple of people pour out to the. I say a couple of people. Everyone's out in the pits. We're seeing a couple on the track right now. Everyone's setting an out lap and looking at some quick times. Who was that just went purple
Mids.
there? Was that Mids? Wow.
That was
okay
Mids.
then. So he's he's been there and about, fighting in about roughly the top 10. Possibly thinking maybe he can pack his nose somewhere else. That Aston Martin there looking very nice as always. Coming now through into, where is that? I don't even know.
9.
That's turn 9, yeah. Looking at the track map might help.
Yeah, I've got my track map open. I'm ready.
Yeah. That's one thing as well. You just have to try to. Well, with these kind of circuits, sometimes you can't get the good references. Unlike with more tracks like Spa and that kind of stuff, you can't just know it.
Yeah.
Is this the first straight? Is this the second straight? You just don't really know. No, Mid's now coming through to the last corner. Where is he going to be? Crossing the line now, going up to. Oh, and he doesn't improve.
I don't think he went any faster, unfortunately.
No, he was, what, 1.6 seconds slower on that lap? Let's see how many more people start jumping up and down the order. Yeah, a little bit anticlimactic there, but GMT UFC going a little bit faster, and CT being retired there. Oh, that's not good.
I believe he's retired in the pit lane. I think he's realised that he doesn't have enough time to set a lap. So we're watching as drivers now are starting their laps. Well, the last few drivers are starting their laps. I believe the last driver to get across the line is one of the. I want to say Willie. No, those are.
80 is just
Alpines. Those are Alpines.
Ice has now. So it's Geek heading the field in this. Obviously, he wanted to get a lap in as soon as possible, but it looks like he's going to be there with his old friend Jariki. I believe that is coming through to the last line. Hopefully, setting a representative lap.
And that's P5.
And it goes P5. Wow. That's a really good lap from him there as well. Joe going a lot quicker, breaking into the 21s. Desan going a lot quicker as well, breaking that time. Now going 8 100th quicker. Maybe Matimu. Does he have a response to it? No, he does not. Desan possibly there with pole position. Maybe Cameron Sokol do anything. No, he cannot. And that is Desan now looking like he's got pole position. GMT UFC not looking like he can really do much there. Just going a couple of tenths down on that second sector. It looks like now Desan, Cameron Searle, and Joe round out the top 3 on that. And who's that into the wall? Is that the Mercedes of Tom Hug?
That's assassin there in the wall, unfortunately, trying to exceed the limits of his car there. What is it? And that seems to be everyone across the line. So it is Desan in the lead, Cameron Searle taking second, the 2 Williams of Joe and Matty taking up the second row in the grid. Jariki with a heater of a lap earlier on, starting alongside Geek. That is a spicy front few rows of the grid there. I can see fireworks already.
That is going to be very interesting indeed, with Jariki just sitting there, just looking at probably looking in his rearview mirrors, looking at Geek, just thinking, "I'm going to make your life a living hell to pass." And Desan there probably feeling very pleased with himself indeed, going 5 100s quicker.
It is a very impressive lap there with the. Oh, I think he's disconnected. So he has realised. So while this goes on, a 21.8. A 21.8 is a very impressive lap time. Welcome back, Alex.
My disc just crashed there.
Well, I was just saying, like, at 21.8, I was having a little peruse prior to the session starting, and you can search for hot laps on YouTube. 21.7 is the fastest lap time I saw on the Abu Dhabi hot laps list on YouTube, which says to me that you're within a tenth of that on what really is a race setup. I'm not sure how much you tend to differ between a hot lap setup and a racing setup, because This is not my area of expertise, this video game. I love Formula 1, but I have absolutely no idea when it comes to the game and how to be fast.
Normally with these kind of setups, you go for a little bit more downforce in the in that qualifying sessions, because you want a little bit more grip through those corners, and obviously you want to heat the tires up as much as possible, because you only really have about maybe 1 or 2 laps to heat those tires up, those soft tires up into a good window before they just fall off a cliff. So you're looking at a little bit more downforce, maybe obviously a lot less fuel. So you're going to be a little bit more nimble. So maybe you think about stiffening up your roll bars and going a little bit more responsive that way. Obviously, it differs from driver to driver. Whenever I play F1, I prefer quite a pointy front end and put a lot of deg into my front tires that way, which doesn't really help me in the races, but lap by lap goes pretty well. But yeah, just looking at the times here, Dasan leading very well. Mati Mumu, they're all separated by about 4 100ths, 5 100ths of a second. We've got some really good action, and then obviously Charity's a little bit further off. But yeah, the top 4 only separated by about, what was that, about 2/10 of a second?
Yeah, we saw the 2 Williams right on the precipice of getting into the 21s. So over a single lap pace, they're fast. However many laps they have to complete the race, and they maintain pace throughout. It is a very different question to be asking on, can you give me a fast lap, and can you give me 30 fast laps, 40 fast laps? So consistency will come into play. We have seen a few mistakes from the majority of our drivers. I'm not going to say all, because I know
it does happen.
It does happen, but I'm not going to say all, just in case I am wrong. But quite a few of our drivers have had major mistakes that have cost them a few points or an entire race.
Yeah, it has been quite a hectic season, I must admit. But so far, only Joe, Geek, and Alpha are the only 3 to start. And now we have 5 lights on, and we are getting underway for the final race of the season at Abu Dhabi. And we are going off the line here. Cameron Sol getting a very good launch indeed into turn 1, but Dasan just about clips him off there. And Jariki looking to make up a position of Mati Mumu, and Joe just being able to barely survive that incident there between the 2. Side by side into turn 4, going through now down the hill, and now they're starting to fire out, and Mati Mumu Jariki just jostling for position as the 2 Papaya boys as well, just going side by side down the main straight as well. Massive gains there for Jariki, and now as Cameron Sol gets past the sun, maybe he's going to keep that lead in through. But Joe looking to make up 2 positions there into turn 6 has come through. Wow, massive moves there from Joe under braking.
Yeah, it was a very, very late lunge there from Joe, and Cameron managing to get the drive out the turn to San, getting an unfortunate bump on the sausage curve there, as Joe, as quickly as he had it, seems to be shifting back ever so slightly. San making a mistake on the outside of turn 9 there, and now we are definitely going to have a single file as Cameron, as Joe, as Dason, as Matty, as Jariki, Alpha, Geek, Tom roll through as we get a virtual safety car. CT seems to have a penalty for collision, a major collision with, I believe, Alex Louch. So
yeah, it's
we're just having a look to see if there is any damage. That does look like damage.
Broken front wing for the Haas. And who's that into the pits? Eyes, Krabby, and Alex all into the pits now. Looks like a couple of maybe front wing changes and such. Remember, we've only got 5 safety cars to play with in this race, as I found out the hard way through my first commentary race at Mexico, where we had 5 virtual safety cars through, and now it's ended already, as everyone seems to be bunched up pretty nicely. And Joe getting the slipstream off of Cameron Cell there, and now probably looking at making a move down into turn 6, as the Sun also looking to peek out through, and Alpha just under braking there, going side by side with Jariki into turn 7 as they come out the exit, and possibly tries to keep that lead from Jariki, using as much battery as possible through there as well. Desan now and Joe just almost coming together there. But that is a very good spot for overtaking through turn 9, but not really making it work so far. And now back into single file lines, hopefully, through these through sector 3, under the very nice hotel indeed. Powered by hybrid since 2014, F1, who would have thought?
We are starting to see a definite... Well, I noticed a tactic that I believe Joe and Desan were using there. They're not overtaking, trying to not overtake through the 6-7 chicane, because they know that they can slipstream out that corner and get an overtake into turn 9, especially if you are hampered by doing an overtake. The driver behind will just sail past you on that straight, especially now DRS is enabled, so we will start to see the rear wings opening up and a few extra Ks down the straight for our drivers, and they're all open. The only driver who doesn't, Cameron, is probably feeling a little bit like a sitting duck at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be a case of people just slingshotting each other. It happened in Austria, where people where you'd see people slingshotting each other. You see a fight for the lead, and then once you're out of DRS zone, that's pretty much a race over, because you can't get back into it. So you can't make up any kind of time differences. As now Joe and Desan having a very nice old scrap there. Trying to keep positions into turn 10s, 11 and 12. Just maybe thinking about getting a little bit adventurous through there, a little bit too early on for both of their likings, to be honest, as they probably want to be thinking about conserving tyres as much as possible. And battery is the main thing in this, because the battery, the ERS deploy that you get from this is massive, especially through these two massively long straights, and turn 9 especially as well. You can get a lot more speed through those straights. And now we see Geek just thinking maybe that Jareki is getting in his way a little bit now. Jareki had a very good qualifying position indeed at 5, and Geek at 6 as well, as they've both dropped down one place respectively, and Desan there as well dropping down 2, and Alpha and Nat the Cat being some big winners from that, and unfortunately Ice, Krabby Patty and Alex all got a little bit too tangled up, as now Jareki's trying to make Geek's trying to make a move on Jareki, just trying to make that stick through those chicanes, and he just probably barely got out of there alive, I'd say. There's a little bit of contact through there as well.
It is getting very nip and tuck in this midfield here, especially because these drivers are getting massive overspeed with the DRS. They are making moves that I'd say probably wouldn't be the most survival based in the end there. But all of our drivers are still making it through. Cameron Searle still in the lead. Joe nipping at his heels. Desan a little bit further back than he wants to be. Matty Mumu just there as well. I am looking up and down our grid. Everyone seems to have got a gap of around 4/10, all the way down to 12th, where CT has that 5-second penalty. So we've got 2 distinct groupings, plus our drivers who stopped earlier on.
Yeah, we've already got quite a sizable train forming up already, as Cameron Searle's probably thinking that he doesn't really want to be part of this, but if everyone starts to overtake, then maybe Cameron's going to be a little bit safer there as well. As Desan tries to overtake Joe, but Joe's trying to overtake Cameron. They're going to start jostling for position, and maybe Cameron can break free a little bit there. As it stands right now, however, Matthew Mumu would win the championship by 1 point, I believe, unless Alpha starts to to think otherwise about it, and thinks about sending a dive bomb into turn 9 or turn 7. He's thinking maybe it might be a good opportunity for him, but ill-advised at best.
Yeah, it's going to be close, I think, come to the end of the race, because Matty Mumu needs to be within 4th. If Cameron's in the lead, he needs to be 4th, 3rd or 2nd to maintain the championship. 5th is not good enough. 5th with fastest lap, I believe, is good enough.
Yep.
So need to keep an eye on fastest laps as well. At the minute, I don't believe any of our front four have that. I believe Alpha picked it up early on, unless I have missed the time recently.
I believe so, yeah. We still can't really double check about any of that, but as it stands right now, Matthew Mumu would be winning the championship, with him and Joe getting a quite a good result out of that as well, which would probably bolster him up to probably a respectable third in the championship right now, I believe.
Yeah,
as he only needs to outscore Desan by 2 points to be third in the championship, and I believe on countback as well, if I'm not mistaken. Even if Cameron So and Joe end up, Cameron So and Matty Mumu end up on the same points, I believe Matty still takes the championship there because he has a couple more wins. I can just double check that right now for you.
Well, as you have a quick double check, it looks like our drivers at the minute are holding station. I did mention this before. They do like to just drive off from the pack before they start battling, and I think now more than ever, I think our drivers are concerned about battling too early and ruining their race early on. So we are starting to see a little bit of a gap build behind Jareki, and to be honest, a little bit in front of Jareki. Jareki barely staying within DRS range as we come through the start of lap 7. So at the minute, it's not the it's not the bullfight that we were expecting coming into this race, but I'd say hold on to your seats and give it a few minutes.
Well, currently, so far, Cameron Sell has got 3 wins this season, while Matty Mumu's only got 1. Cameron Sell's, he's been up and down here in the points, and he's got a DNF here and there. P12 in Miami as well. He's been up and down, but Matty Mumu has been very consistent this season, pretty much being in within the top 3. Oh wow, and he got 3 wide, going round down into turn 9 there. GMT getting squeezer on the inside as AD and Tom Hug just jostling position there, and now the 2 Ferrari cars, and AD just getting so shunted out of place by GMT UFC. Not gonna assume there that AD's not very happy with that at all, but it looks like he's caught up back to the pack rather well and still kept it within DRS range. And CT there just looming in the background. Is that CT? No, I am very sorry there. That is Assassin, Tom Hug and GMT UFC still.
That was very, very interesting there. We also see a little bit further up the grid, Geek making the move past Alpha. Alpha now no longer the car pressuring Matty Mumu. As we come onto the straight, Geek seems to be a bit more aggressive here. I'm wondering if he's going to try something into turn 9, the lovely corner that we just saw a double 3 wide overtake. It is a great addition to the circuit, I'd say, making the track a bit wider, encouraging a little bit more finesse on your brake pedal as we come through into turn 9. Geek a little bit too far back to try a move, fortunately. So we see further back again the Mercedes going side by side. Assassin, Tom Hug. Assassin managing to just keep his nose ahead, but not on the inside for next turn. Contact between the 2 Mercedes, and Assassin just nosing ahead on the brakes. GMT did think about a little bit of a move on the inside there, but it's a bit too narrow to try and surprise someone. And Assassin still leading this pack. This battle right here is very close.
A very fierce battle between the 2 Mercedes and the 2 Ferrari powered cars there. Tom Hug looked like he just about hooked the rear right of Assassin, and now we've got yellow flag, and that is CT coming into the pits already, trying to get off those yellow striped tyres. It's like, or maybe even a little bit of front wing damage. A little bit too early for a change of tyres, I would say. Maybe just thinking it's not the best idea right now. And we've got again these 3 drivers up here in fighting for P8, and that's off the track there. I'd say that's Tom Hug getting just maybe a little bit scrappy there with Assassin, but looks like Assassin just got there as as Tom Hug was just taking out those marker boards left, right, and centre. Sadly enough, they don't get replaced, so it looks like everyone's going to be without a board marker for a bit, and GMT just maybe looking at a move against these two, is trying to pick up any scraps, and that is Assassin off the track, off the road, and nose into the barrier. Then that's a safety car out already. That's
he's still alive. He's still here.
Completely lost the front wing there, and it's just a windless nose that is coming through into the pits now. Under safety car. Looks like that's probably a good idea for everyone now, and thinking about coming into the pits actually, as you got quite a nice bunch up there, and it's like and all the front runners dive into the pits for a fresh set of boots, probably thinking about going onto the hard tyres for the rest of this race.
Why is Geek overtaking the safety car?
And Geek? He's technically leading, but I think he's got to let the safety car back through now. Not sure what's gone on there, but maybe he's just going to keep going around. Geek's got to go all the way around while the safety car just waits there on the straight.
Is everyone going to go through on the safety car now? It looks like it. So everyone's going to pass the safety car.
Everyone gets
just going to sit there.
Pretty much everyone gets a free lap in as it catches up to the safety car, because you don't really have a delta at this point. So that means if anybody didn't pit, they'd probably think about pitting now. Cameron Searle, Joe, Desan, Alpha, Matty Mumu rounding out the top 6 right now. It looks like all of those all those guys got fresh tyres. I think Geek doesn't though. Can I get a reading on who has and hasn't stayed out so far?
Geek definitely stayed out.
And it's just
that tells us pretty clearly that Geek has not stopped, the only driver not to stop yet, and this massive list.
You think about chucking a set of mediums on, it might. Yep, there we go, and he goes straight into the pits. Probably going to come up behind, I would say, Matty maybe. I think we've got a nice bunch here. All fresh set. Fresh set of tyres.
We have a little bit of shuffling in the lead pack that we saw before. Alpha.
Was he able to keep it there? Because obviously nobody can overtake, so Cameron Searle can dictate the pace through here. As Geek gets a little bit of fresh running. And he looks like he's going to be slotting in right through some traffic and just ahead of the Red Bull of the Sun there. That is a very nice place for him to be, actually, for that matter. Matty Mumu lost out a little bit. Not too chuffed about where he is. Maybe a slow pit stop, what have you, and that. So he's looking at making up some moves right out of the gate, most likely, after the safety car's finished, as everyone gets bunched up. The safety car only ends once everyone is bunched up enough. So we've got to get CT right up behind that pack. So they've got to get a move on as soon as possible, because they don't want to be sitting behind that safety car for very long. Otherwise, those tyres will get rather cold.
Yeah. So as I was saying a little bit before, just as Geek came out, that is a bit of a shuffle between our lead drivers. Cameron Searle still at the front. Matty Mumu now out of championship range. So this would hand the title to Cameron Searle. So he does not want this position to remain. Dason behind Joe, which would mean that Joe would be ahead of Dason in the final standings, I believe, in, I want to say, third. And Alpha here on the hard tyre. Does Alpha know something the others don't? Are the others planning on stopping a second time? We're going to find out. There is one more lap minimum of the safety car, so as we watch them go around, we have a bunch of penalties already. Track limits or messing around? What do you reckon?
I'd say probably a little bit of both, to be honest. It looks like everyone's trying to Everyone's trying to get the edge over each other, and sometimes she's going to start dinging wheels with everyone. Not like last weekend where we had somebody, I believe it was, who was it? GWS. One of the Ferrari guys had 21 seconds worth of time penalties, which shot him right down the order. That was quite interesting to see. But yeah, everyone was picking up time penalties. Even drivers like Joe and Matty, I believe, all had time penalties there as well. So it's not unheard of.
Not impervious to the issues that is driving off the track.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kota, so I did not commentate on Kota this season, so I cannot comment on that. But a few seasons ago, I believe 2021, I'd like to believe, 22, sorry, F1 22. Kota was a real race breaker. I think we ended a race with everyone but one with at least 3 seconds of penalties. There are certain tracks that are just very hard to maintain consistency on, especially because this fast. And of course, our drivers aren't all on wheel and pedals and all of that. Some of them are on controller. I believe one of them at that time was on a keyboard as well, which he very
safety car coming in this lap as well. Looks like we're going to get some racing underway just in a bit, as Cameron Searle is going to be the one to dictate the pace through the rest of this Sector 3. Probably going to be launching off as soon as possible, just trying to keep the revs high enough for a good enough launch, as trying to see if Joe will be kept there napping. Let's go on board with him and see whereabouts he starts to pick up the pace a little bit, maybe through the penultimate corner actually, as he's just still trundling very, very slowly behind them. Obviously, you can't overtake until the start line, and he is gone. And everyone else behind him looks to have caught up rather well. And now we are on for another 16 laps of this Grand Prix.
Yeah. No DRS for the first couple of laps here.
And GMT into the pits.
Potentially, I don't see any reason to come to pits other than a front wing change, so they must have had some issue during the safety car. But we are watching Cameron Searle try and maintain the gap here. Matty Mumu very close to the back of Alpha as we get a yellow flag that's cleared quite quickly. They are side by side coming into 6 and 7. Dayson keeping his nose head off the track because Dayson has to give up the position back to Geek. Not what he wanted there, and that opens him up for an attack potentially into turn 9 as he tries to go around the outside. Can't quite manage it. Jareki making the move on Alpha. Through turn 9 we are seeing a bit more of the fierce battles we were hoping to see at the front of the grid, as Geek managing to maintain position. He has lost a bit of time to the car ahead. Joe losing time to Cameron Searle as well. Cameron trying to get out of DRS range as quickly as possible as Blue Fire disconnects from the session. Coming onto the straight, it is Cameron, Joe, Geek, Dayson, Matty Mumu, Jareki, Alpha, Tom, Adi and Bazza are top 10. Get a caution through sector 3.
And that's probably a Alpha Tauri that is had a bit of a moment there. Lost front wing, I believe. Everyone's looking up through that as well. 3 seconds time penalty for Nat the Cat as well. And everyone's collecting time penalties like their Pokemon right now. Matty Mumu got up to 5th again after that safety car restart. It looks like he just picked out Alpha on the restart there. Very good from him, but it looks like the top 3 have already been separated by a second there. Not what you'd be wanting to see if you're Matty Mumu trying to fight your way back up through there. Obviously, he only really needs to be looking at the sun there to be within that championship winning position. Cameron Searle probably thinking that he's given himself quite a good lead and is rather happy with himself, as well as DRS should be activated after the end of this lap. Joe looking rather didn't seem to be all that confident on that safety car restart after sector 1. Really, he felt back quite a bit, and Geek as well. Desan obviously going off track and maintaining 4th, but could have been better there. Geek now and Dasan. Joe is now off. It looks like he's had a bit of a spin. He's off the track. Yeah, he's lost a bit of a front wing. Yeah, he's into the pits now, and that is his race absolutely ruined there. After that, maybe no VSC being thrown out for Joe, and any hopes of what could have been are now gone. Oh, and that is a Haas as well. Is everyone spinning out through that through the penultimate corner there? I'm just seeing left, right, and centre. Everyone's just thought, you know what? Let's just dip a front wheel in there. Okay. Well, now we've got Geek almost 3 seconds behind Cameron Searle, but everyone else is having a pretty fun day with the with DRS. So it's like Matsumoto just hunting on the back of Dasan there. Dasan getting very close to Geek, maybe looking for an overtake now, through into turn 9, gets through with DRS and is now up into P2. And Bluefire is leaving and rejoining Will.
It is a very... If you're Cameron here, you kind of have to drive the best race that you can here, and you're kind of helpless to try and take the championship lead, as we see Tom Hogue take 3-second penalty. You're kind of relying on things happening behind you. It's not quite the same way as if it was, I just need to be ahead of this driver. You need to keep your fingers crossed as you drive your car through these laps that he can maybe pull a fastest lap or something here. So at the minute, Matsumoto, as you say, taking the lead of the championship, but anything can happen with the amount of penalties that we're seeing here. A 3-second penalty might go someone's way, and that would be disastrous, especially if you are our front runners here.
Yeah, Cameron Searle not really having much of a say in what happens to the fate of Matsumoto in the championship, really, because the only thing he could really do is DNF Matsumoto at this point, really. But let's be honest. Oh, and that is Dasan off the track there, and Geek saying thank you very much. Was that a wheel disconnect there from Dasan? Just going straight off the track and rejoining just behind Matsumoto, and that is P3 for Matsumoto and P2 for Geek. Right off there is Dasan, probably just thinking that he shoulda, coulda, woulda. He
looked like Dasan didn't brake. We don't have the brake markers into that chicane anymore, so he might have just lapse of judgment or whatever, and he looked like he braked approximately where the 50 marker was. So very lucky to get it slowed down enough to at least make the runoff, because into the wall there you're cooked. But Dasan now with a 5-second penalty,
and that is pretty much his race over with, really. But however, he's doing a lot better than Joe for the fight for P3 in the championship right now. As Joe is just crumbling his way down the bottom of the pack, and now Matsumoto just thinking, well, thank you very much, Dasan. I needed that that little bit more of a cushion for the championship, and it looks like he's got that rather well securely. Obviously, 12 laps is still quite a lot in sim racing, so you never know what can happen throughout that. Dasan just thinking maybe he can make something of it, but he probably just wants to get his head down, finish this, and finish P3 in the championship, which would be a very respectable position for him to be at this stage.
Looking down the order as well, I am noticing that, it's just happened. Alpha making the move on Tom Hogue into turn 9. We do have a few quite close battles. Krabby Patty looking like it's been overtaken by SJ the YG. Is Tom Hogue trying a lunge into the sector 3 under the hotel there, and just can't quite get it done. Alpha maintaining 6th place as he enters lap 18, I want to say. Yes, it does take it from the leader, just making sure. Cameron Searle as well, very impressively pulled a 3.25 second gap to Geek here, so that is his buffer if he gets a track limit penalty there. So I don't know if he's burnt up his tyres, but right now that is very impressive driving from Cameron Searle as we watch our 2nd to 5th place grouping come down the straight. I believe Jaraki does does have DRS, I do apologise. It's Dason. Like, he's going to try his absolute best to at least make up some positions. It is a 5-second penalty, but you never know. Maybe he can fall 5 seconds once he's clear of the pack. As Alpha is trying to maintain position on Tom Hug here. Tom Hug getting through in the end, but that is a very, very close gap between the two as Alpha again goes for the inside of turn 9. Gets the line, but Tom Hug should have had the drive through there, but just a little bit of a slide. Assassin now trying to take advantage, can't quite get alongside for the move. It's a very close racing here for 6th position.
Yeah, it's it's gone quite well in the hands of Alpha there. Obviously starting in P7, going up to P6, looking like he's just going to be sitting there rather comfortably unless Tom Hug and Assassin have an answer to his antics. As you said actually earlier, Cameron Sol leading with three seconds, and maybe his tyres are cooking, but he's made a bit of a name for himself with pulling out quite a bit of a lead and just hanging on to his tyres as much as possible, just using his energy recovery system really well actually through the later stages of the race. Just making sure that he recovers time in a way which doesn't hurt his tyres so much. So using ERS on the straight instead of burning through his tyres through the corners. And now Assassin getting a very nice DRS overtake on Tom Hug, and hopefully saying goodbye to that, as well as Tom Hug maybe outbraking himself just a little bit too much there, and Baz are looking for a move on that as well as they now come up to the straight, and Baz are just now going to be breezing past there with the extra helping of DRS, and Tom Hug just sitting there like a duck, and 80 as well looking for the inside line as well. The beauty of turn 9 is that you can get two cars around there quite easily side by side with that bank corner. And now coming through into turn 11, turn 10, turn 11, is 80 going to be able to keep that position? Just squeezing him out off the track and just maintaining that position there from Tom Hug. Very good racing. Even if Tom did go a bit off, but we'll turn a blind eye to that sometimes if it means we get some good racing.
That was very unfortunate from Tom Hug there, because he did not get DRS on either straight, so he was just a second back from Alpha as he came across the detection point, and then after they made the mistake on the straight, it seems like his DRS did not open, even though I'm pretty sure he was within the second after the chicane. So, tumbling down the order there as we see Matty Moonman making a move on a Geek into the chicane. Gets the breaker point just right as we roll through here, and another mistake in the final turn, and that is a virtual safety car. We've been seeing a lot of people making a mistake in that final turn, and it seems that CT has ended his race on the outside of the track there. Unsure how he's managed to get so far over to the left. CT has given up. The safety car seems to be making their way down the pit lane, so we will have a safety car restart. Cameron Searle getting very good at these safety car restarts. It's the safety car exits the pit lane. This is a virtual safety car with a real safety car just having a bit of fun on the track. Maybe the HUD needs to take a bit of time to update. I can't tell what on earth is happening. As Cameron Searle gets a 3-second penalty for warning. As Bazza gets
not what he wants.
What on earth? He was driving through the pit lane now. I'm not entirely sure.
Pit lane speeding there. Everyone likes to get a bit of pit lane speeding, but it looks like Cameron Searle catching himself out a little bit unlucky there actually. As now Matty Mumu is thinking, well, that's going to give himself a very nice blanket indeed, with probably about 7 laps to go in this championship. And Massimo is probably smiling very much under his helmet, or should I say behind his wheel. And Bluefire getting a 5-second penalty as well for speeding in the pit lane. Looks like everyone's collecting some pit penalties here and there, but after diving into the pits. But it looks like we've got some mediums on, got some softs. Could be a rather interesting dash to the finish line there as well. Very virtual indeed, with a real safety car out and we've got a Haas leading the race.
This is Nat the Cat. I have been keeping track of Nat as we now get an official safety car. I've been keeping track with Nat. They have come into the pit lane a few more times than some of our other drivers, and it's not just Nat the Cat doing this. I want to just say, I'm not. If you are watching this, I'm not just picking on you, but quite a few drivers have been overshooting the pit lane entry, which is why we've been seeing multiple yellow flags on the pit entry, because drivers are not preparing for the slower speeds as you come up to that hairpin and just flying back out onto track again. So, Nat the Cat probably very happy that they can catch back up to they've got an opportunity to catch back up to the pack and have some racing with everyone for the last, I think it'll be 6 laps that we'll be seeing here. It is going to take a little while for that to catch the pack, but as it stands, Cameron Searle, 3-second penalty. He's going to try and pull the same gap he managed to pull last time to hopefully maintain the win. Matty Mumu just behind with Geek, Jaraki and Basin. Alpha as well, this is a top 6 that we've been seeing a lot of. Alpha and Assassin will be starting at Nurse Tail as well. They've been having good bits of battling as well. Bazza still in the mix with AD. Tom Hug looking to try and make up for his double DRS mistake we saw earlier on. Blue Fire, 8-second penalty, weird number due to speeding, as Nat the Cat is not driving at top speed. Mids just behind Blue Fire. Joe trying to catch up to the pack with a load of cars sat behind him. That will be Alex Slouch, Krabby Patty, GMT and SJ the YG quite a bit further back. And Nat the Cat just enjoying the sights, being able to drive on a rather quiet circuit.
Well, it's going to be quite annoying for Nat though, because what's going to happen is that Nat's going to have some rather hot tyres, and looking at the dash there, not very much energy at all. Whereas everyone else is going to be sitting behind that safety car, recharging as much as possible. So they're all going to have quite a high energy level. There's a little bit of curb mounting there from that as well. But yeah, it's going to be quite an interesting restart here. Maybe you can make up a couple of positions, but I don't think it's going to be held on for very long, because it's going to be the case of hot tyres and not enough battery. Everyone else has got enough. Joe probably looking to make some moves on this pack, but I don't think I'm not sure if he really wants to be going up too much, as everyone else, most people in front of him have got a couple of time penalties, so maybe thinking if he can keep within that pack, he has a good chance of just bolstering his way up to the top of the field.
So I've noticed throughout the season from Cameron, whenever he does a safety car restart, he likes to slow down early and let the safety car get in the pit lane, possibly 3-4 corners before the end of the track. I did notice in the last safety car restart, he slowed down, but I don't think he slowed down early enough, because he was still waiting for the safety car to go in the pit lane by the time that he actually started moving again. So I have a feeling we'll start to see him backing off, possibly even through turn 9. So we'll keep an eye on that. Nat has finally found the rear of SJ, the YG, and I think he'll be very pleased to see another car on the circuit after a couple of laps just out there on his own.
Yep, we're now going to have what this would be 6 racing laps of a sprint to the finish line. Some people are on soft, some people are on mediums. Hopefully that we could get a little bit of jostling of positions for everyone. As Geek is the only one in the top 5 with a set of medium tyres on there. Alpha and Assassin probably thinking ahead as well. Some may or may not have preserved a set of softs compared to, I believe Geek actually did, because he didn't come up for quite a while. Same with Joe actually, as well, on a set of softs. So we're looking at some interesting racing. Cameron Sell's probably thinking about, or probably already thinking about that safety car restart as it is in this lap.
I feel vindicated because he is slowing down a lot earlier this time. We did see him slowing down through turn 10 on the last safety car restart, so he has pulled it right down, 90 k's, going down to 80 k's, holding station for the time being. We watch the safety car, watching the safety car trundle through the last sector. It's a very slow sector for the F1 cars, so I can't imagine how slow it is in what is essentially a very fast road car. So we see now SJ the YG enjoying the rear bumper of GMT.
Contact under a safety car is always quite severe, and now we are underway again. And we've got Cameron Sell, Matty Moon, and Geek all hunting for that P1 position there. And now we're getting underway rather well, as everyone has made it through the safety car restart unscathed, unlike last year. If anyone remembers that massive crash and loss of championship points, and Joe unfortunately losing out on the championship there as well, as now we see him and who's that just peeking out there with Krabby Patty, Alex and GMT all getting a little bit racy there, 3 wide down into turn 5. That was quite some action there, but just
once again. The track narrows quite severely there, and oh no, the two Alpines contacting each other and contacting the Ferrari as well. This is just a mess. I think they've spotted how little laps are left, and they've decided to get all of their interesting driving underway as they go 3 wide into turn 9 again. People losing end plates, I imagine, left, right, and centre. This is an amorphous mess of drivers trying to battle for, I can't even tell. P14 is sliding through into the hotel section. We still don't have an order for these drivers as they now start to attempt to go single file. The Ferrari having a little look, but they are single file. SJ the YG exploring as they now are behind Krabby Patty. They have still not shuffled into the order that they want. SJ not giving up so easily, and is now driven into by the Ferrari behind. This is great battling, I'd say, as the Ferrari again very close to the rear of SJ the YG, and Nat the Cat attempting a move, thinks better of it, which, if you're sat behind this pack, I think that's a good idea. As now Blue Fire now under pressure from 2 cars, as Mids and Alex Louch attempting some kind of maneuver through the chicane. The camera is not cooperating, but neither of these drivers, as we see Blue Fire and SJ side by side. This is non-stop. Can they just stop for one moment? It's 3 wide. Oh dear. And it's just
3 wide for every single corner. And now we've got Alex Louch spun around in the wrong direction. And the two Hasses right at the back of the field there. And again, we've got GMT and SJ fighting for positions through turn 11, maybe thinking about just dipping a wheel through there and trying to hold on to position. But it looks like SJ's got to just back off just a little bit and maybe think about it into turn 1. It's just going right off the track, left, right, and centre. They're not really thinking about track limits right now. They're just thinking of, I want to race at this point. They just want to be not last now, as Alex has taken that position rather well after that rather unfortunate spin there, probably from contact, I must admit. And it looks like the front are being a little more well behaved. It's Hassan getting in front of Jaraki rather easily there. But maybe Jaraki looking for a switchback there, but it's just not really working for him. But maybe he can make something out of it at the DRS on this straight here. Everyone,
the Assassin making a mistake at the 6-7 chicane. And speaking of 6-7 chicane, I'm going to move on to something completely unrelated. Geek Geek is still ahead of Matty Mumu. I was going to talk about the battle behind, but Geek also making the battle up at the front, getting ahead of Matty Mumu. Now this is getting a bit dangerous now because Cameron Sell has the fastest lap. Joe has a 3-second penalty, which is the opposite of a fastest lap. Cameron Sell now with fastest lap. There is, on this spreadsheet, I do not see a calculation for what happens if Cameron gets fastest lap, unless I'm looking in the wrong place. So 3 points is how much a fastest lap gives you. That could be the difference if Cameron Sell can A, pull a 3-second gap, which is looking more and more convincing by the second, and B, Dyson comes in and spoils someone's day and gets an overtake done. Geek has no DRS. Matty Mumu, Dyson, Jaraki do. Still holding station at the minute, but we've seen what happens into turn 9. Turn 9 is turn 9, and 9 is a good number. Matty Mumu gaining, but not enough to try and send it into the next turn. Same with Dyson and Jaraki. Jaraki getting very close. This is a wall of penalties that I'm seeing here. This is crazy.
Yeah, as it stands right now, though, Matty Mumu would still win the championship by quite a decent enough margin, to be honest. With Cameron Sell with that 3-second time penalty, though, he's going to drop right down, unless he can make that gap work. But he looks like he's actually putting out that, probably actually going to make that 3 seconds up very soon. I mean, he's only got 2 laps to do it, but he's has some really good pace so far. That pack is that pack from second all the way down to 5th with Jaraki is keeping together rather nicely and just having some nice battles, which we can't really say about the other guys. 20-second time penalty for SJ there. Not sure what's going on with that, but that's going to be shooting him right down the pack. Same with Nat the Cat as well. And now we've got, it looks like people are sensibly now making their way around the circuit rather gracefully as we come through for the as now we near the end, or near the halfway point of the penultimate lap.
We're looking now, Cameron Sell has made the 3-second, well, just about made the 3-second gap to negate his penalty, but he's not going to like what he sees in his mirrors, and that is Matty Mumu making the move on Geek, maintaining his lead in the championship. He was hoping that he'd drop positions, but he's gained positions here, and Cameron Sell, all he can do now is drive off and just hope that some kind of shenanigans occur behind. It's not quite the battle for not last, but they are still racy up here at the front.
Yeah, keeping a lot closer than the other guys, and they've the other guys at the back of the pack, they've seemed to separate themselves out to the point where they're not really going 3 wide through every single corner. But it looks like we've got ourselves a very nice race between the Sun and Geek for the final podium position on our hands for the last lap of this race. Cameron Sell now bringing himself out with a very nice gap indeed for himself to take the victory, but however it looks like it is going to go Matty Mumu's way at the end of this race, and Dasan gets by for P3 again against Geek for using DRS on that first straight. And now we come through for the last time on this straight, and it's Dasan catching Matty Mumu going straight for the move. There, I was not expecting that quite as much as you'd think. Just getting past Geek and then going straight for Matty Mumu there. It looks like now Matty's going to be contending with Geek for that last position, but it looks like it is gone Matty's way very nicely indeed, and Cameron Sell is going to be keeping that P1 position unless something happens at the very end and someone makes up a second. But Cameron Sell, Dasan, Matty Mumu, Geek, Jaraki rounding out the top 5. Very well done from these guys, and it looks like the championship has gone Matty Mumu's way at the last race of this season, and we can crown Matty Mumu provisionally the champion of this season.
It's been absolutely great racing from our front runners here, and actually just everyone, bar the questionable contacts that did occur. But it's racing. This will happen. All of our drivers here have put on a spectacular show for us to watch tonight, so we thank them very much for that. But as we say, Cameron Searle takes the win, Mati Mumu takes the championship, and he's got to be very pleased with himself. It has been a close battle from him here, from everyone here. So now we have the question of interviews. Now we have a few options, don't we?
Top 3 of the race, or top 3 of the championship.
Yeah, I'd like to. I think I'd like to speak to top 3 of the championship. I reckon so.
That's almost top 3 of the race anyway. To be honest, I must admit. Actually, I think it's the same. Yeah, it is. Yeah, looking at it right now, Dasan, Cameron Searle, Mati Mumu, Cameron Searle P1, Mati Mumu P2, and Dasan, Mati Mumu P3 and Dasan P2. So yeah, it looks like we've got ourselves a very nicely rounded out top 3 positions as we see the podium celebrations of these 3 on on what is the virtual Abu Dhabi podium. But it has been a very good season indeed from all 3 of these drivers, and of course hats off to everybody else: Joe, Geek, Jaraki, Alpha and Tomahawk, putting out some very good stops in this season. Obviously with how it's gone this season, very consistent results from everyone, and Mati Mumu coming through with a very interesting result of only having 1 race win this year, but taking the championship. However, in every single race that he has been through this year, apart from Zandvoort, he has finished on the podium, which can't be said for any other driver.
It's consistency, pure consistency. Yeah. You can win many races, but if you're a torpedo, to give a name to that, you can make mistakes quite easily and lose out to someone who is a solid P3 driver. So Mati Mumu has shown that he has the skills to pay the bills. He is up at the front every race, not seeming to make many mistakes, not even a penalty through that race. So congratulations to him. We should be getting our interviewees very shortly. They are having a quick debrief at the minute. What do you think of the race? What do you?
That was in terms of how Abu Dhabi goes. That was a very good race. Had some good racing towards the start and the end, to be honest. With those safety cars coming up and throwing a couple of question marks in the air about who's going to be coming out where. Cameron Searle putting out a 4-second lead out of nowhere through 6 laps through the through that last safety car restart. Was not expecting that at all. I thought he was going to be dropping right down the order to possibly P4 in that race, but he kept it on really well and to win the race, and a very well deserved race win indeed. But yeah, and how it's gone with the race, it's gone very well in the hands of both of those drivers. Cameron Searle is probably going to be rather happy with himself with how his race has gone and how he has conducted himself through this season very, very nicely indeed. The Sun as well, we'll be hearing from him soon, and yeah, it will be quite interesting to see how their views on the championship have gone so far. Obviously with the drop rounds that we've had, and some people not finishing where they'd like. Obviously Cameron Searle DNF in Spain, and Mati Mumu having a DNF in Zandvoort, and a DNS for the Sun in Mexico. Everyone there drops their DNF and DNSs and gets away rather well.
And yeah, I really enjoyed this race. Cameron Searle, you say he pulled that 4-second gap. His fastest lap was nearly a second faster than basically everyone behind him. He did a 23.5 right at the end there, and that was faster than some people's qualifying times. So he really put in the pedal to the metal at the end to negate his penalty. Dasan as well, a double overtake on the straight going from P4 to P2 in less than half a lap. It's very impressive driving there. Matti Mimu, as we know, he was never too far away from P1. So now we do have our interviewees.
I think we go from 3 to 1. So I think we go with the Sun first.
All right.
By championship order. The Sun. Very good race. Just give us your thoughts on how you thought you did. Obviously you had quite a late move against what was that again? Can't remember off the top of my head. So against Massey at the very end there. Obviously passing Geek and then going straight for Massey in the span of about half a lap. Just give us your thoughts on how that went.
Yeah, quali went as good as can be expected. I got pole after admittedly not too much practice, so everything there was fine. And then we were basically all on the same strategy for the entire race, like the top 4. So it was just about having the pace. I didn't have as much as Cameron, but I had enough to fight. So that basically got me the P2 in the end. There was a moment where I got the 5-second penalty, just the straight 5 seconds. I had just messed up the braking zone because there were the braking marker boards got a bit taken out. So that put me a few positions behind where I should have been under the safety car, but I made them back up, and I wasn't going to be able to fight Cameron that race.
Yeah, you had some very good recovery drives there. Obviously, the marker boards probably hampering a couple of people as well, not being there, being taken out by one of the Mercedes drivers, I believe. So we, but yeah, so you had a really good qualifying overall and very impressive race, especially after that last safety car restart as well. Just Joe getting quite unfortunate there. And that probably helped you in the fight for P3 in the championship overall. So currently, as it stands, you are 3rd in the championship.
Yeah. Joe was on I think Joe still had a drop round. So
that's
I believe
we have one of those massive spreadsheets.
Yeah.
I'm trying to double check, but I'm not too sure.
It required Dason. It required you to be, I believe, P7 or higher for you to stay ahead of Joe. Well, get ahead of Joe in the championship. So I believe you are P3 in the end. But
I'm just looking at it now. Yeah,
it is very.
What happened to him? He experienced, I think, a big slide through, I believe it's the last 2 turns, and tapped a bit of wall and had to replace his front wing.
Yeah.
So it's very unfortunate there. How do you feel how your season has gone? Because you have been right at the front of the pack, winning a couple of races. How did you enjoy the season?
I enjoyed it very much. I think the pace throughout was very good. I could have won the championship if not for a certain Miami race, but no, still even without that, there were loads of battles that I had, loads of cool overtakes I had, and obviously the couple of wins makes it even better as well. But overall, it was incredible.
Yeah, that was a very good season from you. Kept it really consistent throughout the entirety of the season. Obviously, Miami is going to be a bit of a thorn in your backside, but obviously you can say the same for Cameron Searle as well. Probably he's taking himself a little bit of that as well. But he had a really good run in, really good run in Austria. I remember you fighting Matti all the way up until the end against him there as well. It's just been overall you've had a very consistent season indeed.
So yeah. Congratulations on your what we have calculated anyway on your P3 finish in the championship.
Thank you.
And yeah, hopefully we'll see you back here in the spring for next season.
We'll be.
Catch you then.
See you guys.
All right. P2 in our championship. The winner of this race, fastest lap driver. He is complete domination of this race, I have to say, Cameron, welcome to the interview room.
Yeah, nice to be here, final times. Just just wished it played out a little differently in the race.
Yeah, I think the first thing I do want to ask is, you did pick up a 3-second penalty, but didn't quite see why that occurred. It seemed to be on pit entry. Could you enlighten us on what happened there?
Yeah, it's what essentially there's an issue with this track. If you touch the white lines on pit entry, you pick up an instant 3-second penalty. I was lucky I did manage to break away from the guys behind, and it's not an issue, but there will be a lot of stewards' reports, I dare say, regarding the pit lane.
See, so not the best pit lane entrance in the world if it gives you an instant 3-second penalty. Yeah, this race, you seem to just have it under control. Like, both safety car restarts, you were ahead of the pack, and you managed to pull a 3-second gap, 3+ second gap on multiple occasions. Did you feel right at home at this circuit?
Yeah, I think I compromised a bit for quali. I did drop the wings, and I did get quite lucky with Dasan not fighting too hard on the first lap. I was half expecting another Miami occurrence, but no, that was quite nice for this race. And then from there, the first sort of half was just controlling the pace, hoping sort of a la Hamilton 2016 that a few people would use that to get ahead of Matty, but it's sort of fairly obvious that wasn't happening. So I sort of gave up trying to do that, and then just decided just to get the best result in the end.
And obviously now we are at the end of the season. We believe you are taking P2 in the championship. This has been a long season. You've won more than one occasion. How has your season been? How have you enjoyed it?
I think it's actually quite. I'll go call back to what I said in the first race. The pace was fine, but the consistency wasn't there. Mistake in Miami under safety car actually was what cost the title in the end. But yeah, next season I've got some work. Put it that way.
I mean, you made a bit of a name for yourself, really. I remember Austria and both Abu Dhabi. You had you were making a bit of a name for pitting quite early on onto the medium tyres, and then just bringing those medium tyres right up as long as possible and getting some really good pace out of those. You know, it seems like a skill you've picked up quite well over the season. To be honest, you know, you've got 4 out of 8 wins, not including sprint races, and you know it's your second back-to-back win of the season.
Yeah, I think in this game it's part of the driving, certainly on wheel. You can look after the tyres nicely, but as a compromise, it hurts you on the fuel burn. So it tends why I start the race quite slowly. I do have to overfuel quite bad, but then it looks after the tyres, and it means I can be a bit more punchy at the end of stints, especially.
Yeah, you did take quite a big margin to overcome that 3-second time penalty that you did get, as we did mention. But
yeah,
the
battling helped there.
Yeah, it looked like there was a bit of a scrap going on right behind you, and you're probably rather pleased about that. But you know, 6 points was all the difference this season. Obviously, Miami coming is a bit of a sore point around the season, and Spain as well. But you know, you've had some really consistent results, and it looks like you're right up there as a favourite for next year as well.
Yeah, hopefully it goes a little bit better. I've fixed the technical issues this time.
All right, well, thank you very much for joining us. Congratulations on, as we have calculated, hopefully correct, P2 finish in the championship. I hope to see you back here next year and racing right at the front of the grid as you have. Very much.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
And finally, Matty Mumu, P3 this race. He has managed to keep his car at the front of the grid, and this has secured him Championship. Hello, Matty. Hello. We have a rather large spreadsheet, and we are assuming it's correct. And because we're assuming it's correct, we have calculated you to be P1 in this championship now. Winner of the F1 23 winter season. Do you want to just let us know how that feels?
It's been quite the season. Not many ups, to be fair. Only one win out of 8, which isn't great by my standards, but in the end it was enough. But yeah, the season as a whole has been good. Disconnecting like 3 times in the first 5 races, not ideal, but yeah, I still ended up getting second from penalties to other people. And then towards the end, it went a bit funny. Spain, Cameron's wheel died. Zandvoort, my game didn't let me back in, and then tried leaving again and retired me. Then Miami, I was mentally prepared to accept defeat 21 laps into that race, and then Cameron got a drive-through to Sam went in a wall. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And yeah, from then on it was just don't bottle this 28-point lead, I think, after Miami, and yeah, we were able to do it.
Yeah, you had a... Sorry there, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you had a very consistent season overall. Obviously, Zandvoort being quite a bit of an outlier there with the DNF, but that the drop rounds counts that, and you have taken a podium position in every single one of your counted races, even including the sprints, actually, for that matter. So, I mean, even if you only got one race win overall, it's a bit of a KK Rosberg situation where you only got one win, but you kept it very clean throughout the majority of the season. Cameron Searle, they're 6 points behind. He's a bit of a looming threat for next year, I'd say, because he looks very racy, getting obviously 4 out of 8 wins this year, and only really having some major problems in Spain and Miami. But other than that, he looked to be right up there, well, I'd say right up behind you for the entirety of that race. Obviously, he got that 3-second time penalty this race, but it looked like you seemed to be rather unfazed by that and rather confident that you'd be able to keep it within the white lines and bring it home to a very respectable P3 and winning the championship overall.
Yeah, Cameron is not behind me. He's like 10 miles down the road at this point. He was by far the best driver this season, and I'm not scared to admit that. It's just, yeah, there aren't 2 drop rounds for a reason, but I mean, he had his delta on the screen. It's his fault in the end in Miami, but it is next season was going to be interesting. Obviously, if we keep the same top people, then we're going to have some fun times. But I'd say, from my perspective, that Cameron is the favourite. He's just that good at the moment, and yeah, as shown by he's pulled away from us pretty much every race that he's won this season.
Well, he's been putting out some very good leads, but I mean, you've got, I mean, how many more seasons have you got left here? Is it your second?
This was my 7th season, so I have 5 more left.
You got that right off the cuff there. You knew exactly.
I've worked this out before.
So I mean, it's been a great season. Consistently 3rd or higher throughout the races. You've been just consistent. You've really shown what it takes to win the championship, and we will be seeing you back here next year.
Yes, you will be. It's now not only a 3rd title for me, but 5 for our friend group, and a 6th in a row for the red PS4 controller. That's the real GOAT here. We should really be looking up to that, but yeah, still representing the controller players out there. 6 in a row, still going.
Well, congratulations. It's been a phenomenal season. We're looking forward to seeing you back here in the spring. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
So,
And that is it. Another
been
good season.
a fantastic season. I've only been here for. We get the hat back on. It's only been. I've only been here for, I think, half of the races commentating, but for half the season that I have been here commentating on, speaking over, it's been second to none. It's been fantastic racing all around, and thankfully, as we heard from our top three, they will be returning next year. If you are watching and you are interested in joining us, the season is basically officially over. I believe that rally is still going, but last rally, one rally left. Yeah, I think if you join, you'll have a fantastic opportunity to race with our drivers here next season. We have ACC for our GT3 lovers. We have F1 for our F1 lovers. We have iRacing for all of you who love a bit of oval action, a bit of club racing. AC as well. We have Dirt Rally. We've got Forza coming into the fold. We have absolutely anything that you want. If you love racing, come join us. busr.gg/Discord.
It has been an absolutely amazing season. Obviously, this is my first season commentating here at the BUSR. Obviously, taking over from Jason in his role. Seeing him, he is here. He is present. He is our producer today. So a big thank you to him, and obviously to the rest of the Heat team at the BUSR, helping out with this championship and making it run as well as possible. And I must say a big thank you to everyone who has been competing and watching this championship. So yeah, to round out the top 5, we've got Matthew Mumu, Cameron Sell, Desan, Joe, and Geek. And all 5 of those drivers have shown great pace this year, and it has been an absolute pleasure to be commentating it for the first time. Obviously, a bit of a trial by fire at Mexico, very chaotic race, and then Austria is no different either. But this race has been a lot calmer, and yeah, it's been great for this year. So thank you. I'm Alex. Thank you very much for watching.
Yeah, thank you very much for watching. It's been a great season. Hope to see you watching us back in the booth next year.
And a Merry Christmas, everyone, as well.
Merry Christmas.